The Northwood County Court was thick with unspoken threats. Judge Alistair Black presided over the tense silence, his fingers drumming a slow, impatient rhythm on the bench. Below, Detective Marcus Thorne smirked at his lawyer. His expensive suit couldn't hide the cheap menace that clung to him like cologne. It was the uniform of a man who believed the rules were for other people. Then the side door swung open, and a woman named Anya Reed was called to the stand. She was the picture of ordinary. Hair pulled back, no makeup, a simple blazer over a plain blouse. She moved with a steady, unhurried pace, her eyes sweeping the room with an unnerving calm, missing nothing. Thorne leaned over, his whisper deliberately loud enough to carry across the courtroom. "Look what they scraped up," he sneered. A few of his cronies chuckled from the gallery. He leaned back, bored, and failed to notice the cold flicker in Anya's eyes. She heard him. She simply folded her hands in her lap and waited. The defense attorney approached her. "Miss Reed," he began, dripping with condescension. "Tell the court what you believe you witnessed on the evening of October 5th near the Sterling Industrial Park." Anya leaned into the microphone, her voice steady and clear. "I was conducting a surveillance operation. I observed Detective Thorne perform an illegal search on 2 individuals. He then confiscated a package from them and let them go without making an arrest." The attorney scoffed. "And you're claiming you saw all of this yourself?" "Yes," Anya replied flatly. "And I recorded the entire exchange on video." Thorne's smirk finally cracked. It was just a twitch, but in the dead silent courtroom, it was a thunderclap. Judge Black leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "You said you were on a surveillance operation, Miss Reed. Who were you working for?" The courtroom held its breath. Anya reached inside her blazer and produced a leather ID wallet. She flipped it open, revealing the unmistakable golden blue seal of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. "Special Agent Anya Reed," she announced, her voice cutting through the silence like a razor. "Federal Bureau of Investigation." The air in the room turned electric, the color drained from Thorne's face. He looked like a man who had just seen a ghost walk through the wall. Anya never took her eyes off him. "For the last 10 months, my team has been running a federal corruption investigation into the Northwood County Sheriff's Department, an operation that was until this moment classified." She paused, letting the weight of her words land before locking her gaze on the detective. "You, Detective Thorne, were my primary target." A stunned murmur erupted in the room until the judge's gavel slammed down, demanding order. Anya's voice dropped, becoming a low, personal indictment. "You remember me now, don't you? I was the woman you tried to intimidate on the street, the one whose car you illegally searched. I was standing 50 feet away when you pocketed that bribe. I've been watching you this entire time." The defense attorney was frozen in place. The prosecutor, however, leaned back with a grimly satisfied smile. Thorne's mouth hung open, but no sound came out. To understand how a decorated detective ended up in the crosshairs of the FBI, we have to go back 10 months. The brutal Ohio summer was just beginning when Anya sat in a beat-up sedan studying the file on the passenger seat. Marcus Thorne. On paper, he was a local hero. The file told a different story. A story of missing evidence, coerced confessions, and shadows that the official reports never mentioned. "Thorne isn't just on the take," her director, Miles Corbin, had told her. "He's running his own protection racket with a badge. But he's smart. We need someone on the inside. Someone he'll never see coming." "You want me to live there?" Anya had stated, not asking a question. "Exactly," Corbin confirmed. "No badge, no gun. I need him to look right through you." And so, Special Agent Anya Reed vanished. In her place was Anna, a part-time nursing student with tired eyes and a past no one would bother to check. For 10 months, she became part of the scenery in a neighborhood Thorne considered his personal kingdom. Every night, she documented the web of fear and corruption he had woven into the community's fabric. At the center of that web, always was Detective Marcus Thorne. She first saw him up close during her 4th week undercover. She was walking back from a discount grocery store when his black SUV screeched to a halt beside her. Detective Marcus Thorne stepped out. He didn't wear a badge. The entitled menace in his posture was all the identification he needed. The street seemed to hold its breath. People ducked into shops or simply turned and walked the other way.
"Hey you," he called out.
Anya stopped and turned slowly, her face impassive. He strode right up to her, his eyes doing a slow, contemptuous appraisal. "New face," he stated. "Moved in last month, right?" "That's right," she said, her voice flat and unremarkable. He stepped closer, deliberately invading her space until she could smell the stale smoke on his jacket. Her training screamed at her to create distance, but her cover demanded she stand her ground and look weak. "You with someone?" he pressed, his gaze lingering. "Just me, right?" he smirked. "Well, let me give you some free advice. This is my neighborhood. You see something, you hear something. The first person you call is me, not the others. They don't know how to handle things." He tapped the cheap plastic grocery bag in her hand. "Gotta keep the streets clean. You understand." He walked away without another word. The moment she was inside her apartment with the door locked, she uploaded the footage from the pinhole camera on her jacket. The file tag was simple: intimidation. After that, he was a constant, lurking presence. He'd cruise through the neighborhood like a shark circling its prey. She watched him shake down kids for no reason, his hands moving with a practiced, indifferent cruelty. He wasn't alone. His two loyal enforcers, Officers Evans and Bishop, were always in his orbit, fabricating reports to cover for his shakedowns. The pressure mounted. A patrol car would idle across from her building for an hour at a time. One morning, her trash can, and only hers, was overturned, its contents dumped across the sidewalk. They were testing her, prodding for a reaction. She gave them nothing. Then Thorne handed her the evidence she'd been waiting for. A known dealer, Leon Reyes, had his entire rap sheet wiped clean just 2 months prior. Yet he still operated with total impunity. Anya followed him one night to an abandoned warehouse. From the shadows, she recorded the whole exchange. Thorne laughing and smoking with Reyes, taking a thick envelope of cash and handing him a small case in return. It was a direct payoff, undeniable and clear as day. She submitted the encrypted footage at 3:30 a.m. The next morning, her water was shut off. Not the building's water, just her unit. The valve outside had been manually closed. Later that day, her terrified neighbor, Mr. Sawdo, pulled her aside in the hallway. "They've been asking about you," he whispered, his hands trembling. "Not the regular cops, the mean ones." The message was clear. They were on to her. Thorne was done testing from a distance. He was coming for her directly. The game had changed. He wasn't observing her anymore. He was hunting her. He cornered her one afternoon, rolling up slowly in his cruiser as she walked home. "You know," he said, his eyes cold and hard. "You seem familiar. I never forget a face." Before she could reply, his gaze dropped to her jacket. "You always record your shopping trips?" He smiled, a predator's grin, then sped off, leaving her standing in the street. That night, she found a clean, deliberate crack running across her back window. It wasn't a break-in. It was a message. "I can get to you whenever I want." The next move came swiftly. Her cousin, fellow Agent Marco, was snatched off the street by 2 of Thorne's plainclothes goons. They worked him over, leaving him with a split lip and a final warning. "Tell your aunt to stop being so damn curious," one of them had growled before dumping him in a park. The threat was no longer just to her. They were closing in. She filed a coded report. "Compromise imminent. Subject is escalating to physical intimidation." The reply from her director was blunt. "You're close. Do not abort. We are watching." A week later, Thorne appeared at her door. She opened it before he could knock. "Morning," he said, chewing on a toothpick. "Just checking on the neighbors. You seem a little tense lately." He tried to glance past her into the apartment. She stepped onto the porch, closing the door firmly behind her. "If you don't have a warrant, detective, we have nothing to talk about." His smile evaporated. "Be careful who you talk to," he said, his voice a low threat. "You might just say something you can't take back." He turned and walked away. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat in her darkened living room, her service weapon disassembled on the table. She methodically cleaned each piece. The familiar ritual was a reminder of who she really was, a federal agent setting a trap. This wasn't about fear. It was about focus. The final move had to be perfect. She met her new director, Special Agent Eva Rostova, at a deserted car wash on the edge of town. He knows he's being watched, Anya said, handing over a drive with the latest intel. I can't just catch him anymore. I have to bait him. I need him to think he's won, that he's finally turned me. Special Agent Rostova's expression was grim. You want to put yourself on a plate for him? He's dangerous, Lena. He's a predator, Anya corrected, her voice ice cold. And predators get reckless when they think their prey is broken. His arrogance is the weapon I'm going to use against him. He won't be able to resist the chance to gloat. 2 nights later, the summons came. A text from a burner phone. Arrogant and direct. Northgate Scrapyard. 10:00 p.m. Don't be stupid. Anya's reply was a single word. Coming. She didn't wear 1 wire. She wore 4. Her glasses streamed a high-definition feed to Rostova's team, who were already closing a silent perimeter around the scrapyard. The air was thick with the smell of rust and oil. Marcus Thorne stood in a small clearing silhouetted by a single flickering security light. He looked perfectly at home in the metal graveyard, a king on a throne of decay. I was beginning to wonder if you'd show, he sneered, kicking a heavy duffel bag toward her. It skidded across the dirt and stopped at her feet. I figured you were smart enough to know when you've lost. What is this? Anya asked, her voice the perfect imitation of a woman defeated. That's your new life, Thorne boomed, spreading his arms. You stop whatever pathetic little game you've been playing, and you start working for me. I own this city. Everything that moves, everything that breathes does so because I allow it. And now that includes you. Anya knelt and unzipped the bag. Inside were stacks of cash and bricks of narcotics. She looked up at him, her face unreadable. You think you've won? Thorne laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. Honey, the game was over before you even knew you were playing. He pulled a pistol from the back of his waistband and pointed it casually in her direction. This is the part where you say, yes, sir. This is my world. My rules. No, Anya said, standing up slowly, the fear in her voice gone, replaced by something hard and unyielding as steel. This is a federal crime scene. She looked him directly in the eye. And these are my rules. As the last word left her lips, the world erupted. Brilliant, blinding floodlights ignited from all directions, vaporizing the shadows. The roar of engines from 3 armored FBI vans ripped through the night as they sealed the area. A storm of red and blue lights painted Thorne's face in strokes of disbelief and panic. Before he could even tighten his grip on his weapon, armed agents swarmed him from all sides. The final scene took place in a sterile white interrogation room. A broken Marcus Thorne sat in a paper jumpsuit, stripped of his badge, his weapon, and the last shred of his arrogance. A federal prosecutor dropped a single thick binder on the table with a loud thud. That is the mountain of evidence against you, Mr. Thorne, he stated, his voice flat. Video, audio, and sworn testimony from your most trusted men. It is airtight. He pushed a pen and a 1-page document across the table. That is a full confession. You will sign it. You will resign. And you will name every single person on your payroll. In exchange, you will be offered a plea that ensures you do not die in prison. There is no other deal. You have 60 seconds to decide. From behind the one-way glass, Anya Reed watched Thorne's hand tremble as he reached for the pen. She watched him sign away the empire he had built on fear and corruption. She felt no triumph, only the cold, clean satisfaction of a job professionally executed. Her work was done. She turned from the glass and walked away without looking back.